This is a decorative mend. I'm going to show you how to quickly mend a garment with a hand-sewn patch. I'm mending a new blowout on these jeans. I cut a patch larger than the damage, roughly 2 centimeters all round. I'm mending non-stretch denim, so I've picked a hard-wearing fabric that doesn't have any stretch. Ideally, this should be a little thinner than the fabric of the garment, so the mend feels more comfortable against the body. Turning the jeans inside out, I first pin the patch in place at the corners. Make sure the grain of the patch, the direction of the weave in the fabric, aligns with the grain of the garment. If these are skewed, the mend will stretch differently than the rest of the garment, and it'll distort the silhouette. I then tack the patch in place with a running stitch. This is a loose line of stitching around the edge of the patch that can easily be pulled out once you have completed the mend. You can just use pins, but they are sharp and you will accidentally jab yourself. It's up to you, but tacking is worth a try. Now we're ready to start the mend. I've chosen some embroidery thread. I cut a length as long as my arm and pick a point roughly 3 centimeters away from the corner of the patch and start a running stitch towards the corner. I stop before the edge with the needle on the outside of the garment and turn it back right side out. I then turn in the opposite direction and stitch through the previous stitches to lock the thread in place. This is a reverse stitch, remember that. And then just keep going. When you get to the other edge of the patch, switch direction with another row below the previous. As you sew, don't pull too tight on the thread. In fact, try and keep the stitching a little loose. This will stop the fabric from puckering and put less stress on the garment, making for a longer lasting mend. If you run out of thread, use a reverse stitch to lock it in place. A couple of stitches in the opposite direction to secure the thread. Cut another length of thread and reverse stitch it into place as before, then keep going. You might be tempted to use a long enough length of thread to do the whole patch, but shorter lengths are less likely to tangle as you work, and reverse stitching will take less time than having to stop regularly to untangle your thread. I start with parallel lines and wander off as I work around the damage. You can stitch in any direction you want, in any way that you want. For more decorative and complex patterns, search sashiko. This is the Japanese term for this kind of mending, and there are many with greater expertise than me on YouTube that you can learn from. I think I should point out that when deciding on the size of your patch, look at the area around the damage you want to mend. Make sure your patch will cover the areas that have worn thin around the damage, as the strengthened patch area will put additional stress on the fabric, increasing the likelihood of further tears. This is exactly what caused the damage I have repaired here, but I'm trying to encourage this kind of damage in these jeans so that I can achieve a borrow effect over time, another Japanese term for heavily patched fabric. Often I will unpick the side seam for this type of repair, but haven't done this here to keep things simple. I cover the process and value of opening up the side seam in the films I've linked in the iCard. Regardless, I'm finished here. I can pull out the tacking and these are ready for more wear. Patching will extend the life of your garments and add a unique personality that can only be earned through time and a bit of effort. Find more sewing content on the Unpicker, and if this was useful, why not subscribe?